Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Today we have Cars 2 from Pixar. This is the sequel, obviously, to the original Cars film from 2011. It runs about an hour and 46 minutes and stars all the original cast. For the most part, I don't know if, yeah, well, all the main original cast. So we have Owen Wilson and we have Larry the Cable Guy playing Lightning McQueen and Mater, respectively. We have Sally, played by Holly Hunter. Hunter? I'm totally wrong on that, right? Aren't I? Come on. Jason Isaacs is in this too. This is he's Bruce Campbell is in this. I mean, it's a really good cast. Jennifer Lewis. God. Vanessa Redgrave is in this. Plays the Queen of England. Yes. How does Mater and Lightning get involved with the Queen of England? Of Cars England. Well, that's what this story is all about. They travel the world. This is a big worldwide international adventure. And why? Well, let's just say that there is an international race, a Grand Prix, not necessarily on one of the oval tracks. It's one of those go all out through the city and lots of wild turns and everything else. And that's what this movie has. It's a lot of little wild turns. To be clear, yes, this is considered the worst Cars film by many. It's also some considered by many to be the worst Pixar film. And I pretty much have agreed with that in the past. Watching it for the second time, and I haven't watched it probably since it originally came out in 2011, I'm willing to change my opinion on that a little bit because it's not as bad as you think it is. And I'm going to tell you why. Yes, the main problem most people have is if you can't stand Larry the Cable Guy for his hillbilly, oh gosh, shucks kind of humor, then yeah, it's not going to be a great film. And considering that this becomes a Larry the Cable Guy, sorry, Mater film more than something about Lightning McQueen, whose racing exploits just create the backdrop for everything. I can understand why people don't like this as much. There's this sort of snobbery that comes with, oh, it's about NASCAR, so it can't be sophisticated and cool. It's gotta be, it's just for the hillbilly, the rednecks to like. They made a film for the rednecks. Calm yourselves, okay? You're not all that great. But I no, I've understand it. I've heard it. I felt it. And it's been discussed. Yes, the attitude is that we're too good for these race car movies. Well, yeah, no, you're not. And what makes it worse again is if you already hated the first one or assumed you hated the first one just because it was based on racing cars that are beneath you, then obviously you would hate it even more if Larry the Cable Guy was the star. Uh, yeah, I get it. He's not my favorite actor or comedian or anything else. Mater is an endearing character in the way that Jar Jar Binks is to Star Wars fans. He's there. He's kind of obnoxious. To some people, especially back when the only thing you could do whenever you talked about Star Wars was complain about Jar Jar Binks back in the prequel era. That's just what people seem to feel they had to do. But Mater is very much just this goofy, earnest, has a childlike mentality. It's what kids glom onto, and they find him silly and they find him funny, and he's sweet and he's kind and he's honest, and those are all good traits to be, especially when you're a kid and you're a kid watching the Cars movies. And I will be very clear that this is a toy production, unnecessary sequel. Unnecessary sequel, except for the fact that it be made gave them a reason to make lots and lots of race car toys. If Disney wanted to get into the Hot Wheels business, sort of that Mattel is, very good at, let's just say, why don't we make every single car you see in these movies, um, make them into a toy. And again, not just for kids, but because people like collecting cars. People love collecting Hot Wheels. There's people who are obsessive over these things, just like people are with Star Wars action figures and spaceships and everything else. But there's an existence of collectors that goes decades earlier than Star Wars. So imagine if all your little cars that you collected, that you kept in mint package, also had eyes and smiles and things like that, and different paint jobs. Some that are more rare, some that only appear at Comic Con or at a car expo or whatever. Yeah, there is so many different variations of these cars out there, and some of them are quite valuable amongst collectors, and kids just want to have them all too. So, yeah, my cynical mind says yes, this was just created to sell more toys. Hey, Lasseter, who is no longer with the company, I get it. But what they actually did right in this is that even though Cars 3, which we've watched Cars 1 and Cars 3 so far, even though Cars 1 and 3 are very much alike, it's Lightning overcoming a deficit to win the race kind of situation, them taking a shift over towards Mater, making him the lead character, and making it, yes, there's a race, but it's actually a James Bond movie with Michael Caine playing James Bond in a sense. The Cars James Bond. You know how all the James Bond movies go to exotic locales all around the world? Well, this goes to Tokyo, Italy, and England. And if you watch the credits at the end, you get to see non 3D animated flat animation, 2D cartoony stuff. You see other parts of the world as well. So stick around for the end credits if you want to see what Australia or Spain or any other parts of the world look like in the Cars world, where we got to see in the original Cars up to this point. Obviously, Cars 3 is still far down the line, but Cars the original just showed us the Midwest, the desert, small town, middle of nowhere, and occasionally the racetracks, the big races, but it never explored the world. And that's kind of the magic of this film. That what I really liked about this film, it's beautifully animated, it's really colorful. Yes, Cars 3 is even better, but at this point in 2011, this is just astounding looking. To see what the Cars equivalent of Tokyo is, and that one they just knock out of the park in every way, not just in character animation, but the backgrounds, the colors, the culture, and then Italy, and just the architecture, and of course England. Just there's just so much to see. Even if you turned the sound off in this and you didn't care about the story, you could just kick back and just look. I could just watch a screensaver of just panning through all these worlds, all these cities in different countries around the world. It's something to see. It's some pretty dang great animation, and yes, Mater gets in the way of all of it, and he upsets what's the status quo and makes everybody uncomfortable, including to the point, story-wise, making Lightning a little bit embarrassed to have him around. They say, you know what, they're best friends, and Lightning keeps winning races, but he doesn't invite Mater along with him, and Mater would just love that, his friends say. And so he actually makes a crew, even though he gave his crew the summer off or the season off. When he gets invited to this Grand Prix race, he decides, hey, why don't I just bring my friends? So a bunch of Luigi and a bunch of the others all join up to help him on his race, including Mater, who usually just is an embarrassment, who just sort of gets in the way, and he doesn't understand different cultures. He's a dummy, and it's kind of the point of this story is to kind of combat or to address the idea that, hey, you know what, that person who seems like a simpleton, who doesn't understand what's going on, isn't as sophisticated as we are, guess what? It's okay. And if you're embarrassed by them, maybe you gotta kind of look at yourself. If you really consider them your best friend, kind of look at yourself rather than looking at them and telling them to change who they are. Because they're being honest. Mater, if nothing else, if you can say nothing else about him, he is completely honest and open with who he is. He doesn't pretend to be anything he's not, and that's kind of great. It's kind of something I wish we could all honestly do. I do not have this kind of energy that I have right now all the time. But the camera's on me, so I've got to do the dance. Uh, so anyway, and that's just a taste of what the story is about. If you haven't watched this yet for some reason, if you're not a Cars fan, yeah, you're going to get a lot of crap about this isn't the best movie. And I said that yesterday at the end of the last video, saying, oh yeah, it's considered the worst one. And I don't know if I can agree with that anymore. I mean, no, it's not the best Pixar film out there. And I can't, I mean, I actually love all the Cars films. They're exciting, they're thrilling, Cars 3 still has the best animation, but when it comes to immersing yourself in the world of Cars, it also introduces us to boats and planes, which they made spin-offs, at least 2 spin-offs, with the planes characters. It's really clever. It's smartly done, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If you enjoy this, you're okay. It's okay. It's okay to like Cars too. But yeah. Anyway, when I mentioned a bunch of people that are in this, I gotta throw out a bunch of more names. Emily Mortimer plays Holly Shiftwell. Eddie Izzard plays Axelrod, Sir Miles Axelrod, an electric car who's kind of like a, what's his name? The guy from Virgin Airlines, Sir Richard Brandt. He's sort of like Sir Richard Brandt. Is he a Sir? He's like Richard Brandt. We'll just say Richard Brandt. But yeah, Eddie Izzard's in this. John Turturro plays an Italian race car. Yeah, he's really great. And of course, Joe Mantegna is in this. It's a great cast. And to address the whole James Bond angle, there's whole sequences in here that do not circle around our main cast at all. There's an entire sequence that just focuses on these spy cars and their relationship with this world, to uncover this secret plot to mess with the world's fuel consumption and an alternative fuel, and it's a whole big plot. And yes, it has the normal turns that you'd find in a James Bond film, or even the action. There's a lot of guns in this too, which is unusual. There's nobody ever gets really hurt, nobody ever gets shot. It's like a G.I. Joe cartoon in that sense, but they are machine guns. It's not like laser weapons. There's a maniacal plot where the heroes are strapped to a machine, in this case Big Bentley, the Big Ben of the Cars world. They're strapped to the gears of the clock and they must escape in time. There's all sorts of super gadgets, flying jets on some of the cars, pop out machine guns, and of course, like I said, with changing making sure you get the most out of merchandising. Mater has a thing that lets him change his appearance, so he can be a monster truck, which actually looks like Dracula. He can be a funny car. He can be anything. He can change his look. So paint job, paint job, paint job. Guess what? More toys to sell. But yeah, there's so many actually really good things about this that it's easy to poop on this, especially with the quality of Cars 1 at the time. It's just hit all the right notes. This may seem like a huge departure and disappointment to some. Seeing it now a second time with new eyes, I see that it's not. It is its own film in many ways with Mater. Yes, if you're going to enjoy this, you're going to have to get over that if you have a problem with Mater. And I did. I kind of had to set it aside. Yes, Mater is obnoxious. But he has plenty of good qualities, and he actually has some really funny lines. So, yeah, I'm going to take back my attitude about not liking this film. The entire Cars trilogy is actually really, really fun. And beyond, like I said, they go to Italy and England. I have to say the Tokyo, just everything about it, the track, the lights in the city, and how they depict everything. There's always a fear they're going to do something super racist. You never know, but in this case, I didn't see anything overtly racist in depicting another culture. I don't know. Maybe I'm not as perceptive as some, but either way, it's a really fun sequence, and we get to see Bruce Campbell play a secret agent, American secret agent Carr, and there's like a big, you know how Henry Cavill fought Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible in the bathroom, or James Bond, like Daniel Craig fought. Did he fight Henry Cavill? I'm really confused now. They had Daniel Craig had a big bathroom fight at one point in the James Bond film. There's a big bathroom fight also in this, while Mater is being strapped into a Japanese toilet for Cars. So, comedic effect, crazy, weird kung fu close quarters action with Cars, and you get to hear Bruce Campbell utter secret agent type lines. So it's kind of neat. I enjoyed that. So, big fan. But yeah, it's worth it for the cast. It's worth it for just the action and the animation and everything else. So, as much as I'd like to poo-poo on it, can't. I've been corrected. So, that means all I can do is pick tomorrow's episode.
560.
Ooh, going to extremes. 560, though. We're definitely in the thes. But we are well past any Star Wars, I think. Yeah, actually, it's in the thes. And we're going to see a classic. I think this is a Kurt Russell one. You know, Kurt Russell's like a Disney icon at this point. Hasn't he been awarded a Disney Icon award yet? I don't know, but either way, this is one of those goofy 60s, 70s era classics. The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. All right, we'll check that out. The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye.